Worldwide, the Toyota Hilux is, of course, Toyota's iconic truck, but in America, it really is the Tacoma, and this is their best-selling pickup truck here. For 2020, it's received a significant refresh. We get a different look up front, but everything that everybody has loved about the Tacoma is still here. We get the same durable engines under the hood, 2.7-liter four-cylinder engine base and optional 3.5-liter V6. The big deal here is that all of your existing Tacoma accessories are likely going to bolt on with only slight modifications to this new 2020 model. Because this is a refresh, not a complete redesign, in essence, we have very similar shapes going on up front. We actually get this different grille, but the overall shape, overall design is very similar to the outgoing model. We have the availability of LED headlamps. We also have LED fog lamps down below. And the changes are a little bit more evolution than revolution overall. The changes on the side are perhaps a little bit less dramatic than they were up front. Basically the same overall cab and bed designs are going on here for the 2020 Tacoma. Again, exactly what Toyota shoppers are after, because Toyota shoppers seem to be very interested in overall reliability, and slower evolutionary changes like this definitely help breed reliability overall. Out back, we get very similar styling to the outgoing model. Again, tail lamps just on the sides, red turn signal lamps in case you're wondering right there. There's now a 360-degree camera package available for the Tacoma, so we get not only a camera right here on the tailgate, but we actually get cameras all around the vehicle, including one to help you see what you're driving over. You'll see one of those other cameras right here under the Toyota logo up front, and of course a radar adaptive cruise control sensor, because all of Toyota's latest safety systems are now standard on every version of the Tacoma, and it's their latest version of those safety systems, not the same one that we saw in the last generation model. This particular grille is what we see in the limited trim. The one that we were just looking at is the off-road TRD version, but under the hood we have basically the same engines as before. That means that the base model still starts with a 2.7-liter four-cylinder engine producing 159 horsepower, and then we have the option of a 3.5-liter V6 engine. Both engines are mated to the same 6-speed automatic transmission as before, sending power to the rear wheels or all four via an optional four-wheel drive system. Now personally, I'm a little bit disappointed that Toyota didn't take this opportunity to revise their engine lineup. So we don't find any turbocharged engines under here like we do find in the new Ford Ranger. We don't find any of the latest versions of Toyota's V6 engines like we would find in something like the GMC Canyon or the Chevy Colorado. And we don't find any of the 8-speed automatics that we would find again in some of the competition as well. It's worth noting that the new Ford Ranger actually has borrowed the latest 10-speed. That's the best transmission that Ford really has in their arsenal, and they've jammed it even in base trims of the Ranger. And under here, again, we have a different kind of philosophy. Toyota's really interested in long-term reliability, overall dependability, and repair costs, so that's why we're seeing that older transmission still available under this hood. The overall interior design hasn't changed too much versus the outgoing Tacoma, but we do have a big change in the center console, and that is finally the availability of Apple CarPlay and Android Auto in the Tacoma. Yes, you heard that right, we actually get Android Auto now. Toyota tells us that Android Auto will actually start moving its way across the rest of the Toyota lineup, but it's starting right here in the Tacoma. At this point in time, we don't know exactly when you'll be able to get your hands on the Tacoma or how much it's going to cost, but you should expect overall price tags to be very similar to the outgoing model, likely a little bit more expensive even in the base trim. Now we are getting more standard equipment in 2020 than we were in the year before, so again you should expect a slight price tag increase. Compared to the competition, you should expect this to be more expensive than a Ranger, more expensive than a Chevy Colorado, and definitely more expensive than a Frontier, but likely less expensive than the Honda Ridgeline, which could be considered a direct competitor to this. This is still likely going to be one of the most capable off-road vehicles in this particular segment. We definitely see that with the TRD package and just the overall reputation of the Tacoma. But a lot of the things that people disliked about the previous generation Tacoma are still here with us. We still have the overall interior that is a little bit more cramped versus some of the newer entries, and front seats that are definitely not as comfortable as some of those newer competitors like the Ranger and of course the Honda Ridgeline. You'll notice that both in the front seats and the back seats, because this cab is overall smaller than some of the more recent entries. So the bottom line with the new 2020 Tacoma is if you liked it before, you're probably going to really love the new 2020 model. And if it wasn't quite your cup of tea, this probably won't change your mind too much. Be sure and let me know what you think about that down there in the comment section below. And of course, stay tuned because we should have a review on this just as soon as we can get our hands on one. In the meantime, be sure and check out our upcoming full review of the Ford Ranger and of course, all of our videos on the direct competition to this Tacoma.